Welcome to the senior panel from the Barn. We are a group of seniors who meet monthly to discuss issues of the past, the present, and we always look forward to the future. I'd like to introduce our panel at this time. Anne?
Ann Geisler.
And you've been coming to the Barn for how many years?
Oh, I think about 9 years. Wow. I would say about 9. And I really enjoy it.
Bonnie?
And I'm Bonnie Carlin. I'm a long-term resident of Schaumburg, and I've been coming to the Barn for about 4 years, I think.
Okay, Frank?
I'm Frank Kozak, and I'm a village trustee. I haven't really been to the Barn. I was there last night, though, to visit you. That's how I got into this little segment today. But I've been a resident of Schaumburg since 1969.
Very good. Okay. And I'm Lori Candle. I've been a resident of Schaumburg since 1972, and I've been coming to the Barn for several years, and I've met many wonderful people here. Today we're going to be talking about our first memories. And if anybody were to come to my hallway, I have a picture gallery of family pictures there that recall many, many happy events. And above it is a plaque that says, "Memories complete the soul." And that is just so true. Many of the memories bring joy, some of them bring happiness, some of them bring tears. And it's very debatable with people how early our memory does begin. Some scientists seem to think that between the age of 2 and 3, our mind begins to establish memories that we can carry on through a lifetime. Other people, it's much later, but then there are some people that are even earlier. As for myself, I can remember laying in a carriage and looking up and seeing these striped awnings that were on my house. There are no pictures of those awnings, yet when I spoke to my parents about it, they said, yes, but they came down when you were very, very young. Whether I heard it, it's engraved in my memory. Can you think back in your memory, what is the earliest memory of your life that you can call to mind?
I remember, I must have been about 2 years old or 3 years old, and I remember singing with the radio. And we'd be in the living room. I guess music was a big part of our family. And my mother said that I memorized all the lyrics to the songs, and I'd be singing, along. So I really enjoyed that as a child.
Very true, and it's carried through into your adult life also. How about you, Frank? Can you think of anything?
Oh, I think I've had flashbacks here and there, but I mean, something that really sticks into my mind, I guess I was around 4 or 5. I can remember we lived over in the city around 55th and Archer, and we had a little 4-inch Helicrafter TV, and I can remember watching, Buffalo Bob and all them guys like that, and then we'd also watch Roy Rogers and Pat Buttram and Nellie Bell and things like that. And there weren't many things to do back then when we lived in the city, and if you ever know the city, that's when the stockyards were still big, so the cattle trucks would come in down Archer Avenue, and kids would get out there and we'd count cattle trucks for excitement on a Sunday night.
Oh my God.
Not too exciting where we lived, actually.
Well, back home we used to count the railroad cars that went by on the Long Island Railroad. And how about you, Ann? You've got 9 decades behind you.
Oh, a long time. The only thing I could remember is when I was 3 years old, and we came in, my mother took me out to Brooklyn, New York, to see my sister, because my sister was older than me, and she was married at the time. And I went out there, and I did a lot of things out there, which I never saw in my life.
Well, Brooklyn's a different place. I grew up there.
Oh,
I know.
Did you? But it was really nice. I enjoyed it being there. And then my sister took me so many different places because she was older than me and she was married at the time. She didn't have no children. And I remember she was a sickly woman, and she would always say, "Mom, please come and help me because I'm very sick." So we traveled all over to find out where she was, you know.
You probably made her very happy, too.
It made her happy. Oh, yeah. She would always say, Mother, come here, I'm sick. And she was married. But it didn't make no difference. My mother took us kids, went on the train, and went to Brooklyn, New York.
Well, you can see here by listening to what we've just said, some of the memories are happy memories, but they're tinged with a little bit of sadness.
Sadness.
Now, Frank, you talked about your home. Are there any memories of your first home that really stand out? Things that are different then from now? I know you had a TV.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I guess.
God.
My family was fortunate, and I think it was a little bungalow. That's all it was in the city. And my dad, I remember he put a second floor on the thing, so we kind of. It was like, wow, we got a big house all of a sudden. I remember things like that. But just living in the neighborhood and things like that, and playing with the kids, and things were not. We didn't have a lot of playgrounds and stuff like that. The alleys were all cinders, so we made our fun in the alleys, playing different games in the alleys, and so it was a little bit different than today's. You see blacktop or paved, and actually you don't really see many alleys in Schaumburg, though.
Oh, no. I finally found out the difference between an alley and a gangway.
That's right.
When I moved out here, the lingo was a little bit different. Now, you were shaking your heads. Can you think back, Ann, to something in your first home that was different from now?
Oh, yeah, it was different. We lived in an apartment building, and I remember when my mother used to go to work, and she'd say to the landlady, "You got to take care of my little girl." And the landlady says, "I'll take care of her." My mother used to go to work, come back, get me out of there. I learned how to talk Polish. And I knew how to talk Polish because then when I got in the house, I talked Polish to my mother. My mother says, "Now wait a minute, you're Italian. You're not Polish." I said, "Oh, Ma, excuse me." But with the landlady, I had to talk Polish. So she said, "From now on, when you walk in this door, you got to talk Italian." Even when I went to school, we come home from school, no English. It was all Italian. And I didn't like that. I told my mother later on, "Mom, we go to school, we learn how to talk English. You'll have to learn English." My ma used to work downtown in men's garments. She'd come home from work, she'd cook and everything. And we learned how to cook and everything. And then finally she says, "Okay, Mom." She'd say, "Ann, I'm going to learn English." And she did.
Right. And, well, we think back on all these things. You were the first bilingual student going on. We know that memories, Clarice William had said, "We treasure sweet old memories as time goes swiftly by. A few bring smiles of happiness and some tears to the eye." We'll be back after a short break.